So we made a few pulls here with Hunter Coffee's 2000 VP truck. We plan to do a P-pump swap to it, and he just wanted to get baseline numbers for what's done to it now. So he has 6x20s, a Scheid Stage 2 VP pump, 467, 480 compound setup, and a Quadzilla tuner. I don't know what tunes are on the Quadzilla. Just whatever it was that he brought the truck to us, and it made 737 horsepower and 1256 foot-pounds of torque. So I will get him off the dyno, and once we have the P-pump swap done, we will put it back on the dyno and see if we can make more power with it.
You fucking shattered.
Back there, I almost think, well,
I'm just gonna take a straight edge up on both sides of the frame rail. And just
Dicked up a little bit and didn't make that X long enough, or didn't put it. Wear safety glasses, kids.
So there's been a lot of people that have, I guess, asked me questions as far as this truck in particular of why there's so much extra bracing and just tubes in the truck. So obviously with this being a second gen, it's not a box frame, you know, style like a third gen, fourth gen, you know, even a Ford or Chevy. So with that being said, obviously, if you don't have a box frame rail, it wants to, you know, move and flex and twist a lot more. So like a truck like this, obviously we did an 850 cage, but then we tied it back into where the 4-link is on the back of the truck. We've added just a couple more X's and just a lot more bracing overall. So pretty much from here, the truck's width up at the back of the cab, the truck's wanting to actually, the frame is wanting to flex some because we took out obviously all the factory cross members and everything. So I'm going to put one more X in here. Pretty much is just a vertical X. That's just to help with side load on it. So pretty much it just ties the entire, all of the work we have done as far as the cage to the rear end and all of the extra bracing. It just kind of ties everything together. Pretty much makes the truck a lot more stable. And yeah, so finishing this X, and then we're pretty much done on this side of it.
Alright, on to the service side over here where the fab has their cage and their fuel cell and other little odds and ends they have done. So we are in the process of pulling the VP out and doing a P-pump conversion. So this will be the final steps to the build for Hunter, and should be a nice good little race truck that he's got. That should be a rowdy setup. So keep in touch or keep following us and see how this build comes along, and we're excited to see how it turns out.
Alright, we've got 100 Coffee's truck back on the dyno after a P-pump swap and a lot of work, and glad you could join us today because it's an exciting day. He's wanting to pick it up, but unfortunately we had already a little bit of a scenario where the first rip around the block, he got to go on a pretty spirited ride, and the 53 block is now leaking some coolant in places that it shouldn't be leaking coolant. So we figured we'd at least put it on the dyno, see what power it makes, and then the next step is going to be pull the motor and get rid of this 53 block. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what you want to do with the truck and what your goals are with it, and what the history of the truck's been a little bit.
Started out as just a fun little build, something to get going, and then kind of got more intense, and now hopefully we can make it to some bigger events and hang out with some of the bigger guys.
Yeah, this is something that will be fun. He's got an 850 cage, so he's got a good platform, and a 4-link, so he's got a platform that as he increases power, you know, you can fix up the body and get the thing. It's been your first truck, right?
Yeah.
So it's been kind of sentimental to him. So hopefully we can get it to make some numbers today, and then we'll fix the block, and hopefully we won't make too big of a mess. But we got a mop, so it'll be all right.
Clean her up.
All right, let's see what it does. on Hunter's truck made 905 horsepower, and you can see the significant gain in the power curve from the VP44. The VP made 737, which was a good number, but it also defueled by 3,300 RPM, and the P-pump was able to make full power all the way out to 4,000 RPM. Let's turn it up and add a little bit more fuel, see if it responds, see how it responds. So we slid the fuel plate. We had Josh Scruggs, he's our trusty 12-valve mechanic, come in and bump the fuel plate up a little bit, and it did 941 with a little bit more fuel, but the coolant was leaking bad enough that we didn't think it was worth taking the time to bump timing up. That was at 30 degrees of timing. We're going to bump it up 32 to 34 degrees and see what that picked up yet, but we decided to cut the dyno run short, and we are going to actually leave the truck here, pull the motor, and have D&J put together a new short block for this truck, and probably start with like a common rail block. The ISB blocks are not as strong as a common rail block. So the truck will continue to be here for another couple weeks while D&J puts a short block together. But that is pretty much the wrap for the build of this segment. We got all the suspension, or the cage and the 4-link stuff done. The truck turned out good. Hunter got to go on a good ride on it in the street before we put on the dyno, so he got to have a smile put on his face. And now we're going to get a stronger short block in it, get rid of that 53 block, and he'll be ready for action.